Yes. No fight.
Good afternoon, everyone. Extending a very warm welcome to all of you to the mini forums at Graduates Fashion Week 2025 on crafting the future. Today, we are here to explore how creativity can be a driving force in promoting culture, craftsmanship, and sustainability in the fashion industry. This forum is a space where tradition meets innovation, where we look beyond fleeting trends to create work with meaning and lasting impact. Our audience today is extra special. Most of you are students and undergraduates who are passionate about the fashion industry. You are the future designers, innovators, and change makers who will shape Sri Lanka's creative fashion landscape. The aim of this forum is to highlight how Sri Lankan fashion brands are blending heritage with modernity and how their work is reaching audiences both locally and globally. We will hear stories, insights, and strategies from industry professionals, giving you a glimpse into what it really takes to build a brand that stands out in today's competitive fashion market. Now, let's get to know these incredible brand and speakers joining us today, each with a unique story of how they are shaping the Sri Lanka's fashion industry. To start off, we have Ms. Darshi Kirtisena, the creative director of Buddhiatics, a brand that has reimagined traditional batik from the modern world with contemporary designs. Known for its bold designs and craftsmanship, Buddhiatics has kept heritage alive while making it relevant for today's fashion audience. Next, we warmly welcome Mr. Asanka the founder of Lovisilon, a brand that has completely redefined the traditional Sri Lankan sarong, even by taking it into the global stage, including the Olympics. With smart tailoring, innovative fabrics, and fresh brand identity, Lovisilon has taken a cultural icon and turned it into a global style statement. Our third speaker is Ms. Bajira Piris, owner and CEO of Piris Leather Studio. Her brand celebrates the art of leather craftsmanship while giving it a sleek contemporary edge. Piris Leather Studio reflects a dedication to both quality and design, from accessories to fashion-forward pieces. Our final speaker is Mr. Priyantha, the owner of Kalaru. His brand is known for its beautifully hand-knitted garments, crafted by skilled local artisans. Bringing real-life field experiences, Mr. Subasinghe has worked closely with artisan communities across Sri Lanka. With that, it's my pleasure to hand over our moderator for today's session, Mrs. Achini Ranavira, Senior Lecturer of Textile and Apparel Engineering Department of University of Moratuwa. She will be guiding us through the rapid-fire session. Madam Achini, over to you.
Thank you, Dari, for that very interesting introduction. So, welcome everyone. So, this is the Mini Forum 1. Our title is Creative Synergies Empowering the Next Generation of Designers. So, you can see there are about 80 odd number of designers joined from University of Moratuwa, as well as from some of the private institutions who offer design degrees. So, basically, this forum will have 3 rounds. The first round, which I call as the rapid fire round, will have one broader question towards you. So all the speakers will get about 4 to 5 minutes to answer. Next, we'll have another round where we will deeper dive into specific questions, and then the same timing would apply. And next, we'll have an open Q&A session. So first, my speaker today is Darshi Kirtisena. The topic for you, Darshi, is revitalization of Sri Lankan batik. Crafting relevance in the modern world. So I would actually like you to discuss about how Buddhiatics, right? That is a brand that we have been hearing, since ages from your father's, era. So now we can see your products. It blends both these artisanal batik techniques. However, it has this modern touch as well. How are you doing this? Can you please elaborate with maybe some examples from your current collections? Because we have some of the fashion design students as well as marketing major students as well. Right, thank you. Over to Ms. Darshi.
Thank you, Achini. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, University of Maratua, for inviting me to be here today. Such a pleasure. To talk a little bit about Buddhiatics. Well, batik is in my blood. I was born into a business that was started by my parents for the smell of wax, the colors, and basically it was a thriving hub of creativity. So my parents, Buddhi and Ranasiri Kirtisena, started Buddhiatics in 1970. They were young, the newly married, full of energy and new ideas when they started it. I'm going to refer to some notes because sometimes when I speak, I just digress and move on to different things. So I have made some notes so that I can talk about what Achini is actually asking, because I get too excited talking about our brand. So the story actually started as a romantic story because my mother wanted to make a batik shirt for my father for his birthday. So she found a batik artisan in our village of Koswadia and commissioned him to create a batik shirt. But it never arrived. So actually at that time, my father was a journalist, but really an artisan in heart. He got excited and he said, let's create it at home. And they created it together. And eventually, that was the beginning of Buddhiatics because it came out really nicely and everybody liked it. And they thought it would be a great business plan. And they started Buddhiatics. So you never know. Keep gifting. You might get an idea too to start a new business. So from day one, my parents didn't look at this craft as a tourist product. It was an artistic or a craft for them. And they experimented with bold colors, unusual patterns. They were very innovative for the time. So their outlook was fresh, fearless, and way ahead of its time. So that same workshop in Koswadia, surrounded by the palms, coconut palms, and it's quite green in Koswadia. Most of you, or some of you may have been there, is the same workshop today as well. We have, actually we have one artisan who's been there for 50 years. And some of them have been for decades. And some new ones too. And basically they just naturally so we are really lucky to have that team with us. So by the time I took over Buddhiatics in 2006, but batik has lost its spotlight really. So it was stuck in a nostalgic space. admired but not seen as fashionable. For me, the choice was simple: let it fade, or should we reinvent it? Or reimagine it so it could speak to the new generation. So really, then we decided we should reinvent it. And so we brought fabrics that were new to Sri Lankan batik: silk satin, silk chiffons, georgettes, and basically the fabric that draped and shimmered, which was different from the previous batiks. In 2007, we showcased at Colombo Fashion Week. Then I found people were surprised that it was actually batik. Nothing like they had seen before. So we did get a standing ovation also, which was really inspiring for that time young me. So the colors were bold and bright, and also subtle hues, large motifs, especially the orchid flower. That is very personal for me, because somehow we bring in that orchid flower, because it was in our garden. When I was growing up, we had a whole big orchid garden. So that always comes through. So suddenly, batik was glamorous again after that. With fun colors, drapey fabrics, we attracted a new generation. We inspired people to wear the sari again as a fashion statement. Since then, I've seen more young people wearing batik sari with pride, 6 yards of fabric, handmade. It's a local art. Yeah.
I mean, we can see a new products line coming up. So what's the strategy behind that? Because you have started with the general sari that we are seeing. Now you have expanded your portfolio into other products as well. So maybe.
Yes. So actually, I was getting to that. So now we have reinvented some of the products with new colors and motifs, and then some new silhouettes as well to fit the generation today, like cord sets, even the sarongs we do silk satin, and like sarong and a blazer, then wrap dresses, wrap skirts. All these are some of them. We've been doing it for a long time, but we've reinvented and even make it more fashionable with current silhouettes. So that is something has appealed to the younger markets. And just to, yeah. And for me, revitalizing batik just like, I mean, for me, we kept the soul of batik, but we just changed the new outlook of it, so that it will, because if you don't keep up with time, it'll just be something that we remember and cherish in the past, but not really wear it now. So that is why it was important for us to keep reinventing. And I also think the Gen Z is very smart. They don't want just like any fast fashion. They want a story, what's behind it, how it's done. Is it sustainably produced? I mean, we created like a lot of accessories also, because we tried to create a circular production. I mean, it's a journey. Sustainability is a journey. We have stepped in the right direction. So like fabrics that we think we waste, we use it for various things, accessories, necklaces, clutch bags. And clutch bags has been one of our biggest hits, actually. So, yeah.
Thank you, Darshi, for that detailed and insightful explanation about your brand and how you have expanded your business from just a sari to other very modern products like clutch bags and accessories. So let me move on to speaker 2 today. So Mr. Asanka Amel, he's a creative director or the founder of Lovey Salon, I would say. So the question is, I want to know about how you have reinvented this modernity through this traditional, especially your key product categories, sarong. Please explain how Lovey Zilone reimagined this sarong, which you have been seen in the same silhouette, same detailing, same constructions, but you have given it a very different, face to it. So, what sort of smart tailoring options you have adopted, and what's this purpose-driven branding strategies that you are trying to build up to bridge this cultural heritage toward this international fashion arena? Over to you, Mr. Asanka.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I mean, I know it's afternoon, so it's nap time, no? So how many of you graduating this year? Any one of you graduating? Show of hands, please. How many graduating next year? Okay, great. How many of you want to start your own brands? Come on, don't be shy. Put your hand up. Okay, that's great. I mean, it's wonderful. That's the drive, that's the passion. And I know I've been talking to Ms. Reveni for now 6-7 years. So, great training, all the idea of sarong or any of these, even for your brand, is one of the hardest things is finding something that really connects passionately with you as well as with an audience. In Darshi's case, she was kind of, you have taken something she was born into her own self, right? So what really drives now Buddhiatics is Darshi and her vision of what. So the idea of Lovi or Sri Lankan clothing is, can we imagine Sri Lankan clothing at international level? Why are we not investing into it? You wouldn't buy a jacket if it was half stitched, but you would buy a sarong half stitched. Why? And there was a much larger issue about who we are as a people. Like, I think the initial idea of Lovi is to, and Lovi is a mission-driven company. It's very less to do with actually clothing, but to create a modern Sri Lankan identity and share it with the world. Those are the first few words I wrote about when I was starting Lovi, and we are trying to stick to it. The idea is, if you want to see this kind of an identity in 2050, what would it need to be? And why it is important is, all of you are graduating in the next 2-3 years, and you're going to go accept jobs or start your own companies. And you need to have a fair amount of confidence of who you are in order to do that, and your parents' bank account details. Yeah? So, but the reality is, actually, when you're working, you're building, you have to have a lot of strength. It's a competitive place. The whole world is competing, right? We have tariffs and creating havoc. The whole, so when you're going into a market, you're creating products that are, any one of you can select any variety of products. So how do you stand out? And what does that unique identity speaks? That is what we are trying to create. That is what Lovi is trying to create at a national level. What is the Sri Lanka? I mean, we can't be wearing the Nilame jackets anymore, no? So, I mean, it's beautiful outfit, but it is, it has its own traditions. We are a much more diverse, multicultural society today. So we need to invent our own new clothes. And that's what Lovi is doing. Lovi is inventing, and into these clothes, we have put some ideas, what we call values. It is for hardworking people. It is for people with ambition. It is for people who see inclusivity. It is for people who have craft or handmade or human-made value built into it. And it has a silhouette that is what we try to achieve called grace, which is some kind of elegance and balance. Those are the values, and what we are building those values into our clothing. So when you wear it, you feel it. And is to empower you and to give you so you can go build a beautiful Sri Lanka. That is what Lovi is about. So go build a beautiful Sri Lanka, and then to empower is what we are trying to do. So I wish you all the luck, and if with your own brands and own endeavors, but find that niche.
Thank you, Mr. Asanka. So let me move on to our very own Bajira Paris. She's from Fashion Design and Product Development Degree Program, graduated around 2008. So I'm going to ask you a question about your current, because you're running few brands. This is regarding your Paris Leather Studio. So Ajira, could you explain us how you're fusing this traditional leather work especially? It must be very complicated, that process, right? So, but your products, the end products, they look sleek, fashionable and very modern as well. So how are you actually blending these two ends together? So is it challenging, or what sort of design techniques you're adopting? So do you have resources to actually do that smoothly as well within the Sri Lankan context? Over to you, Ajira.
Thank you, Achini. Thank you very much for having me here today. It's a pleasure to be back here with my lecturers and colleagues, and also newly graduating students. And I really love to share about my brand. I hope it will influence or inspire some of you, like Asanka said, for some of you to start a new brand or a business. So coming back to your question, Achini, how we blend it, how we are working with artisanal culture. We all know traditional leather craft is the brown leather bag. If I ask somebody, what do you remember? What comes to your mind as Sri Lankan leather bag? Everyone would say that tan color leather bag, the shiny one, either with traditional carvings. Samarak වෙලාවට අර හංස පුට්ටුව, ලියවැල්, මල්කම් මේ ඔක්කොමත් එක. That's the traditional leather craft we have in Sri Lanka. So from after graduating at Morato University, I did my master's in fashion artifact, thanks to my lecturers and everyone who are here supported me on that. So I did my master's in fashion artifacts. So that's mostly I focused on leather craft, but we didn't learn the Sri Lankan traditional leather craft or anything. We learned the global trends and all that. So when I came back, I actually first started in UK. Then when I brought it back to Sri Lanka, how we blended the traditional artisanal skills with the modern world is by keeping it minimal, nothing much. Keeping it very minimal. Coming to your last question, Achini, the challenge was the machinery and everything. I have been trying to import machines from Germany, China, Japan, and they are very expensive. I put all my savings actually into this business, everything I've earned actually. Even that's not enough for me to start up with the basic machinery because they're very expensive. So what I then decided was, I can do the handcraft because Sri Lanka is highly capable of handcraft. Because we are very rich in quality. Although you may not see it in the craft industry, that's because people don't have enough tools and proper tools and machinery. When we see craftsmanship in Sri Lanka, we always see very unique, some maybe halfly done or maybe like unfinished, not really sleek and high quality. So when we decided to keep everything minimal. I always love geometry, so we tend to keep everything into geometry, like either square or basic geometry. Triangular shapes or rectangle, kept it very simple so we can easily stitch it. So it's part of problem solving, how it started. And I always love minimalism, so we kept everything very simple. So it's easy for us to complete, because for complicated design, like leather crafting is very complicated, but not hard to learn. So when we started, we wanted to keep it minimal, less machinery, more handcrafted. So we started with the basic shapes, a square shape clutch, maybe a semicircular kind of shapes, and maybe rectangle purse or a bag turned into 3D shape. So that's how we blended it into modern world, because keeping minimal, you will never go out of trend. So that's the other part. We are trend focused, but the minimalism, if you look into WGSN, I'm sure you all know of that. WGSN and all that, if you look into every year, minimalism is there. Somewhere in a corner, minimalism is there. So the best way for me to start was with the minimalism, nothing complicated. And then we stayed trend focused. And also, we took some of ideas that was traditionally in Sri Lanka. If you look into our accessory industry, they are very basic too. They are very basic, functional as well. And also, the longevity, because the materials we used, we tend to keep it into genuine leather rather than moving into synthetic, because synthetic is actually, I think, last about 3 to 4 years or 5 years. And then we thought, okay, I want to use genuine leather because it lasts for generations and it's very personal. When somebody uses a leather product, it becomes very personal. I'll give you one good example. If you look into a gents belt, they never change it. Okay, they use it for years and years and it goes into this shape, according to their body shape. And the wallet, they have myths about it and they have beliefs about it. So they become very personal. That's the male side. But into the female side, we like our handbags to be like, to put everything. And also, that also become very personal. It becomes a status too. So when we use designing, I use everything I learned throughout years to keep our designs functional, keeping extra pockets for whatever we need and extra accessories like cosmetic pouches. And so we create a whole package. And they are also multifunctional. Most of our designs are we don't sometimes separate them ladies or gents, because sometimes when we keep it into minimalistic, we can use it as unisex products unless it is designed specifically for male or female. Most of our designs are unisex. So it is functional and it can be used as formal and also casual wear. So this is how, keeping the wide range and keeping ideas open, this is how we blend the traditional techniques into modern world.
So I think especially our final year, you are currently doing your product strategies these days, so maybe some of these messages you can take back home. See some of the trends that she has adopted, like minimalistic approaches and the gender-neutral aspects, likewise. Thank you so much for that, Bajira. So my fourth speaker of the first round is Mr. Priyantha Subasinghe. He's the owner of Kalaru, which is a hand-knitted and hand-crochet company. So Mr. Priyantha, so please tell us some insights about your business strategies, the business model that you're running. So tell us how your innovative business strategies would empower the local artisans, because you have to work very closely with them. And, while actually keeping the Sri Lankan authenticity, anyway, you should bridge towards international markets, so which are quite challenging, I would say. So please give us some insights.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me. It's a long story. I think we have a history of 40 years. We started in 1979 when a Norwegian company wanted to start a hand-knit collection, which was supposed to be their exclusive collection. This company was celebrating their centenary year. They had started in 1879. So in 1979, they were celebrating their centenary year, and they wanted to come to a third world country to help by giving trade instead of aid. That's what they said. And the idea was, actually they came to Sri Lanka because Sri Lanka in 1979 had just opened up the economy, and the first free trade zone was set up in Negombo. And so they thought maybe they can enjoy those tax incentives. This was much before BOI, much before GCEC. It was during the time of FIAC. I don't know how many of you all have heard of FIAC. It's Foreign Investment Advisory Committee, which existed, I think, in the early 70s. My late father was then in government service, and he had just retired from the textile sector. And they came and asked us whether we could have a factory environment in Negombo. And, but they said, we want to do a total hand knit collection. No machinery involved. So then we thought, how could you do a hand knit collection, bringing down 400, 500 women under one roof, listening to music and hand knitting? I mean, that's a recipe for disaster, right? So my father's idea was, no, why don't we take the industry to the village? And we set up knitting centers, just like handloom centers, which were there in the early 60s, 70s. And you see this in some other countries too. I think in Europe and Scandinavia, you get these hand knitting groups. Then in USA, you get the quilting groups and embroidery groups. So why don't we do that? Because rather than these girls coming from different villages to Colombo, staying in boardings and going through all that hassle, why don't we take the industry to the village? But little did we realize that we didn't even know what this hand knitting they were talking about. Because it was only then that we realized there are two types of hand knitting in the world. The Scandinavian, European method, continental method of circular knitting, and the British method of hand knitting, which is done in panels and then stitched. The circular method doesn't have, it's a seamless garment. So we had to learn everything from scratch, because those who knew the British knitting couldn't even do a sample in the continental method. So we were the first to introduce the Scandinavian method of hand knitting to Sri Lanka. There were experts, the first samples were done by experts who came down from Norway, and we initially trained about, I think 15 or 16 girls at that time. They're ladies now, some are grandmothers, that went into different areas and in turn trained the local community in those areas. Now our concept was different. Of course, the factories were set up in the free trade zone and it was an 8-hour work schedule. But we said, no, let it be flexible. You don't even have to work 8 hours. Come to the center, learn. If you have to take your child from kindergarten or school, you just go, bring the child, cook for him, give him his meal, come back and knit. So because there was no machinery, it was very flexible. And that way, we thought that we could preserve the family unit. You see? So, and this is not, of course, it's a commercial venture, but there is an element of social service attached to this as well. So that's how we started 40 years ago. So it's a long story. I don't think I have the time to explain all those stories. But coming back to the present status, now we are exporting. Okay, now one more thing that I said. So we joined it. It started as a joint venture in 1981, and then in 2007, there were a lot of changes. I went on my own. That's how Kalaro started. Kalaro means a stream of art, and in 2017, this became a limited liability company. So today, up to 2007, we were on, because it was a joint venture, we were only working with one Norwegian company, only using their yarns. But in 2007, I opened this up, and we started working with international yarn manufacturers, international designers, and today we are working with designers in Paris, New York, Belgium, Norway, Sweden, Denmark, USA, and Australia. So it's a long journey. But the amazing thing is, people find it hard to believe that we in Sri Lanka, we are a tropical climate, hot, humid, and the end user is probably in Scandinavia in minus degree cold, So we have put these two communities together. So my message is that it's possible. We have achieved it. It has taken a long time, but what we do, of course, is a very limited production because it's a niche market. It's designer wear actually. So, and hand knitting is something that will, of course, some of those designs can be done by machine, but hand knitting, even the yarns are specially made for hand knitting. So that is not something that will ever go out of fashion. It will not fade away. And it's an upmarket product. So I think I have answered your question.
It's a very insightful and informative answer, actually. So this is one of a kind of a business model that you're running. So I have some questions. Maybe next round I will ask you some with the time, if time permits. So with that, I will move into round 2, which will talk about the future, because tradition should meet tomorrow as well. So again, I'm coming back to our speaker 1, Ms. Darshi Kirtisena. So Darshi, tell us about the future of local craft. Is it revival or reinvention? And please reflect to whether preserving tradition alone is enough, right? Or if innovation is needed, what sort of things that you can do, because the world is moving super fast. So we have to actually serve these Gen Z consumers, and which is very difficult to track what they are thinking. So what are your plans ahead?
Tradition is our anchor. Innovation is our sail. Think in your head again. Tradition is our anchor. Innovation is our sail. So we need both if you are to move forward. If we preserve a craft, it risks becoming something we just admire. If we only reinvent, it loses its depth. Why we decided to preserve it anyway. So we need both. The future is about balance. Survival means passing on the skills and the cultural stories and values to the next generation. Reinvention means adapting them to how we live today. Okay, I lost that. At Buddhiatics, okay. Yeah. Okay, I lost my notes. So at Buddhiatics, we try to reinvent while we preserve the tradition also, so it has more meaning and depth in what we are creating. So to answer your question, I think it is very important, especially with the Gen Z. Most of you are Gen Z, and you create cool stuff. So you can make it cool by looking into our history and using the tradition, but also reinventing it in your own way. So you can't do one or the other to preserve a craft. Use both. And I think that is the only way forward.
It's very clear. They should blend together, go hand in hand, obviously, right? So you can't just isolate one element together. So it should go in a very cohesive manner, I would say. Right. Thank you, Darshi.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about this, because that's a follow-up question that I have, because we are all talking about this AI, digitalization, all the tech stuff. So do you think that would apply in your scenario, or just you can just ignore them and just move on? Yeah?
Absolutely not. You cannot ignore it, because we have to keep moving with the world. We can't move against it. So we need to look at how we can use the new technology in our traditions. The same way we still use wax resist craft method, but when we design, we can also use AI intelligence also, and even when color blending, the technology for dyes. So those are important. It's not just about the design, or everything needs to come together for us to create a design. So AI is very important, but also we have the grounding of craft and the history. Like I said earlier also, I think the blend of it will create something very beautiful, something new.
Thank you, Darshi. So I'm moving back to Mr. Asanka Dimel again. So this is about building strong brands because I think you have shown us some of the very strong branding strategies lately through your these campaigns and different ways of applying your logo placements and all of kind of detailing, very subtle detailing, I would say. So would you like to maybe share some tips with our designers who joined and how you are doing this branding? Thank you.
Well, thank you for that question. So to go back to Darshi's question about AI, I'm trying to learn it so that I can replace all of you. Yeah, no, seriously, you guys are pain in the butt, don't come, show up with on time. So no. The point is actually, I got your attention at least, right? I'm replacing all of you with, I just got subscriptions from all the AI platforms. It cost me only like $150 a month, so it's much cheaper, and don't complain, My point is not that. That is, in a certain way, that's brand building. I am getting your attention. So first thing is you need to figure out how to get attention. So I have your attention now because I'm replacing all of you. But then you have to provide some value. Many of you lifted your hands that you want to create your own brands. Any idea how much a brand would cost a month? She had to sell her house. She's moving in with me. Now, the reality is that it's very good. Keep that ambition, keep drawing, work crazy, work 5 hours at night on creating your unique identity. However, get a job, work at Darshi's, work at MAS, work at all of these places, because you need skills beyond the drawing. Nobody can wear a drawing. You have to actually stitch it. You have to learn how to do it. And you have to do 1,000 of them till you do it so you get your identity working. I love that you all want to build companies. Do it, keep continuing it, work 10 years drawing. Almost every designer that we love and follow all have essentially worked at somebody else's, because you have to not only learn your identity, you have to fine-tune it to find you what is your name, Baba? One more time. I'm too old to hear. Amida. So what is like how Amida sees the unique way of the world is what she's going to create. And it's going to take some time for her to refine. But in the meantime, gather skills. Gather AI skills, gather design skills, gather stitching skills, gather marketing skills, and gather money. Your parents can't support you anymore. So that is what. In terms of brand building, that's what branding is. In a certain way, it's the trust that you have. It's the authenticity you have. When you see Lovi, you know it's not something else. It's not even, Buddhiatics, or it's not something else at all. It's not Barbara Sansoni. It has a very specific way of looking at the world. And that is driven by values that we see. Authenticity of being Sri Lankan. Our core value, or our prism of seeing the world, is what is modern Sri Lanka look like? What is the rich modern Sri Lanka look like? And we just make clothes for that people. And some of them, maybe some will buy, and maybe others are not our clients, and we don't care about them. No, just, but the point is that you have to have that authenticity. You have to, certainly in an Instagram-heavy, content-heavy world, you have to be able to grab attention, but it can't be by doing things that are not true to you. And also, the last piece is that you have to put value to the person who gave you attention. So if I don't give you value, even it's a smile or pleasure, because you're like, that's a cool design, I wished I did it. Or she looks great in that dress, or that guy looks awesome in that sarong. That joy in your day is what brings you back. And that's trust and brand.
Yes, the same question I'd like to ask from you also, Asanka, about how you adopt the technology.
Yeah, technology is really, really helpful because I mean, we use AI, we use Pro 3D, all of these techniques because how can we get a better product into the market, right? And because we know in product development, like you could spend 3 months trying to figure out something and it still doesn't come the way you want it. I know you guys see what we put out. You should see our garbage room, or in terms of the things that we've rejected, it's even bigger because so much of it is like, that didn't come. It's like only centimeter off, but it's too bad, So it helps, and it helps to create better ideas that we couldn't even think of, right? Because especially in content or other ways of human communication, I think we can do a lot. I'm so excited about the new things we are bringing. But more importantly for you, you are here because you're trying to figure out what you're going to do next, right? Is that true, or you guys already know what you're going to do next? Besides, no, seriously speaking, you are the most talented group of people to come out in Sri Lanka, in the history of Sri Lanka. Because I think Sri Lanka has grown over the last 5-10 years. We are lucky we haven't had wars and other narcissistic issues. So and you are trained, you have an amazing team, and that also gives you not only the privilege but also the responsibility to go create something. Let me add one point. I was having a conversation with an Indian designer, and we were like, why the hell? I asked, I'm not necessarily from fashion, so I was like, why do you even need a designer? So let me ask you that question. Why do you need a designer? The craft people are making, I can't sew, I can't even hardly sketch. So why do I need to be in there? Anyone? Okay, I'll give you the answer. But Ms. Revini gave all of them a B. No, but my point is that when we were mostly village-based communities, craft person was the designer. They knew the person, they made what that person wanted. Now we live largely in cities. Our clients, he's making in Sri Lanka, his client is in Scandinavia. So the designer is the interpreter. Your job is to bridge the two worlds between the client and the craftsperson. If you do a very good job, you add enough value to the client that part of that value can be given to the craft person so that they can live. When you do terrible job, most of the value is actually only captured by you and very little passes to that, and you see craft collapsing. So I hope you take this responsibility also. Use technology, I don't need to tell you, they are all technology anyway. So, but just keep in mind you are the interpreter and, just create amazing value.
Thank you, Mr. Asanka. It's very clear, your points and hits are very clear to our students, I'm sure. So moving to Ms. Bajira again, so your topic is very, very general. We're talking about sustainability, eco-conscious consumer, circularity everywhere. So how your business has adopted this? Is it there, or is it just a buzzword only? In which elements specifically? Is it through your products or production, or maybe other materials that you are sourcing? So can you just give us some examples from your own organization, Bajira? Thanks.
Sustainability is a big topic in our industry. I'll tell you one reason is because leather is an animal-based product. And especially in Sri Lanka, to be able to sell a leather product is very challenging with the cultural and religious issues. Mostly because people think, I go and kill the cow to get the skin, but I don't. So whenever sometimes when I say somebody that it's made out of leather, sometimes people are so this is cow leather, right? So it's animal. And I say, yes, it is, but this is one of most sustainable product because it's a byproduct of the meat industry. And the dairy industry, there's a very sad story which I can't share with you, to be honest, about the meat and dairy industry. But on the other hand, that's also part of the society. How that meat and dairy industries actually operates. There are no ethical ways of killing, for me to say, but people never stop eating meat and they will never stop drinking milk. So if somebody stopped that and come and ask me a vegan product, then I would be more than happy to make a vegan product. I'm not trying to be rude, but this is the sad truth in the industry. So everything we use, but I can still become sustainable because everything I use in my products is a byproduct because we trace back where it's been made, we trace back where it comes from. So it's everything we use in our brand is a byproduct from the meat industry. And we are saving the world by using it, because if you know the amount of leather waste comes from the meat industry, tons of leather that go skins. These are not treated skins, these are just raw skins, very smelly. If you look into those skins going into landfills, that can create another pandemic in the world if we don't reuse it. So most of these skins that's been thrown away from the meat industry and the dairy industry have been used by the tanneries. Tanneries are the places, if you haven't heard before, tanneries are the places who buy these skins from the meat industry and then they tan it. Tan it means they put chemicals, natural ingredients and natural chemicals and artificial chemicals to keep it for longer use, and they tan it. That's the process what we call tanning. And this tanning can be done in two ways. One is vegetan, one is chrome tan, not two ways. Actually, now we have few other ways like semi-veg, semi-tan, so on. So what we try to use is mostly vegetan and semi-veg, that is naturally dyed and tan. Sometimes we have to go into the chemical dye because the natural tanning is not available in Sri Lanka, so we have to buy it from overseas. So sustainability is a big challenge for us to market it because vegan leather has been taken over. There is no proper research to say what's more sustainable, whether it's vegan leather or genuine leather. Because if you look into the lifetime of a product, like I said before, genuine leather lasts for generations, and it can be handed over from generation to generation. For us, what we do is we offer, I don't think any accessory seller in Sri Lanka does this. We are the first one to apply. We haven't heard anyone doing this before. We can give 4-year warranty to every product you buy from us. That's a guarantee because in Sri Lanka I've operated more than 6 years and we never had anything returned back that's been broken or whatever, but if it's by our fault. But from customers' fault sometimes, because your bag can only carry about 2 kilos, but I think we mostly carry about 6 to 10 kilos. That's how we are. So if you use it within limits, you can use it for really long time. So how we apply sustainability is by giving customers a warranty, and also even after the warranty, we say after a zipper is broken, after a rivet is worn off or broken, or a stitch came off, don't throw it away. Bring it back to us. We will charge a small fee and we will repair it, because we put so much effort to create an artisanal good. So it's not good to throw it away, because leather can last really long. Just because a stitch came off or a zipper broke, don't throw it away, because those can be replaced. The leather sometimes can't be replaced, but we try to, most of the time we repair. We are one of few brands in Sri Lanka who could repair luxury brands like Louis Vuitton, Gucci, We have repaired so many brands in Sri Lanka unofficially, but we are not the official repairing partner for those luxury brands. But if somebody brings a bag and asks to repair it, we do exactly the same job. You won't believe, sometimes we go an extra mile to buy accessories, dye, and sometimes the exact thread to find and repair it. And customers are willing to pay that because they have spent so much money to buy a Louis Vuitton bag or a Gucci bag, and then they don't want to throw it away. And they can't send it back to the original country. It costs a lot. It's much cheaper to bring to us and getting it repaired. So how we apply sustainability is by encouraging customers to reuse and also help them to keep their products longer. We sell aftercare products like waxing, conditioning, brushes and stuff. And we also provide that service. And in terms of production, we do ethical manufacturing. Our workers, basically I call them girls and boys who have with me. So I tell them like it's flexible. We have given holidays for them to study like Saturday, Sundays, and it's flexible work basically like you've been saying. Some women's work for me can go and pick up their kit and come back. So we try to keep it flexible and we try to keep our manufacturing ethical. We are not fast fashion, we are slow fashion. And we encourage ethical materials. Although I just wanted to clear that although people say leather is not ethical, it is actually an ethical product because I don't purposely kill any animals to create our leather products. It's a byproduct.
Message is very clear, Bajira. I think from the raw material sourcing to the end product, so you apply these strategies, people, they wouldn't know much about this. Right, thank you so much for that detailed explanation. So moving back to Mr. Priyantha, because we have stopped from that community engagement question. So just a follow-up question I have for you is, how are you working with these artisanal communities? Especially what are the challenges that you're facing, as well as what are the complexities, because your model is very unique and it's one of a kind. So can you give us some examples maybe from this very different business model that you're running currently?
Yes, I'll give it in a designer's point of view. I think there is a difference between an artisan and a skilled craftsman. Now, of course, we do work with artisans as well as skilled craftsmen. But this is a problem which may arise when designers go out to the commercial field. Because an artisan is a person who generally is a creative person who does one-of-a-kind thing probably, and is mostly like masterpieces and things like that. But a skilled craftsman is more product oriented. He or she follows an instruction. In the apparel industry, you may call it a tech sheet. In the knitting industry, we call it an instruction or pattern sheet. So, there's quite a difference. So now, to answer your question, the important thing here is how does a designer, communicate this? It's easier to communicate that to an artisan because an artisan may understand a designer's point of view. But when you are working with craft communities, in our case, most of our craftsmen haven't even passed probably the 8th standard because we have the social service aspect to it. Some are in fishing communities, right? And they haven't been to school either. So these are the type of people that we are helping to bring them up in their social status. But I think the important thing is most of the problems we have had is how does a design, how do we, a designer should be able to first visualize the design and then product, right? But how do you communicate this to a craftsman? So that is very important. I think even in the apparel industry, very often you hear, I have been in situations like that, where the product development department and the design department, they are always at loggerheads. Very often you hear, ඒගොල්ලෝ හිතන්නේ ඒගොල්ලෝ ඇඳලා ගිය ඕන එකක් අපිට කරන්න පුළුවන්, එහෙම කරන්න පුළුවන්ද, right? Now that because there's a lack of understanding. So it's very important. As a designer, I think you should first visualize and then you must understand how do you put, because a craftsman, artisan may have that understanding, but a craftsman it doesn't have that design creativity. So you have to guide that person, and that is through a tech sheet. I mean, if it's a cut and sew thing, it's easy because then you give all the measurements and you say, this is what you do, this is the pattern, blah blah blah. But in the case of knitting, it's more advanced, it's more complex because especially hand knitting, the garment is created stitch by stitch. So you start with so many, it's sort of mathematics. And you can just imagine how people who haven't studied up to 8th standard are doing these mathematics now. So anyway, you say you cast on so many stitches, you knit so many centimeters, you increase so much on this side. So it's very complex. And talking about AI and all these things, I was just wondering, 35 years ago, when I visited Norway, and I saw these, at that time, very basic computers, they were working on programs. These are programs specially done for knitwear. This was a huge knitwear factory. And the person who was explaining this told me, this is the program they used to create the characters on Jurassic Park. Now, I'm talking about the first Jurassic Park 35 years ago. There was no Maya, there was no Photoshop, but they used these packages which were used for knitting machines to create those characters, the interesting story. So that's how technology was used at that time. But what we are doing now is a craft-based project. So we don't, unfortunately, I don't know, we don't use technology, but the designs do. So it's amazing sometimes to see how these high-tech designs are done by craftsmen. So the thing is how to transform this and get the end product. I don't know whether I have answered you.
Yeah, you did, and I have one more follow-up questions because you do some of the collaborative projects with students, even with our students, I remember. So what are the messages that you can give to our students if they want to maybe collaborate with the designer and maybe uplift their skills and maybe come up with a new brand maybe?
Well, I think, yes, my association with the University of Morocco, I think, dates back to more than 20 years. But yes, I think not only the University of Morocco, there are other institutes also that come. So, I mean, the University of Morocco we have had many workshops with them, so I think the students have some idea of what hand knitting is. But then we have students from other institutes coming to us with sketches. They don't have the faintest idea whether it's possible or not. It's easy to sketch, but I mean, in knitting, I suppose even in the apparel industry, there are possibilities and there are limitations. So in knitting, what I would suggest is you learn the basics in knitting. What are the possibilities? What are the limitations? There are limitations, but at the same time, there are lots of possibilities too. Knitting is one industry in the world that you have to keep on learning. I mean, even after 40 years, I think I have given away my age now. So anyway, even after 40 years, I'm still learning. So that's the nature of that industry. So what I would suggest is learn the basics before you do your initial sketch, but keep your design. Don't come to us and say what are the available yarns, what are the available colors. We will change our design according to that. I don't advise that, right? You let us do. If we feel that we will advise you on the technicalities and say, okay, this is possible, this is not possible, but we'll tell you, okay, shall we do this? And find an alternative. So there has to be some sort of dialogue between the designer and the producer or the craftsman. Generally, we are in between, so we get sandwiched from both sides. So I think my advice is that I see a lot of young designers or students saying, we want to do something sustainable. Use old yarns. I don't think that's a good idea because your true design potential doesn't come out. So don't lose that by trying to do something with available yarns or whatever. Because now talking about yarns, I suppose at the universities you all follow the color trends. We do in international fashion. You have to do that because there are certain colors that will always be there, like black, brown, red, blue, gray, white. They'll always be there. But there are certain colors which come and go. For example, I think about 4 or 5 years ago, jelly bean green. There are some exotic names. Suddenly it came. Then I think during Queen's Jubilee celebration, there was a hot pink that came out, and it became a fashion. I think it's still there anyway. So there are, but the jelly bean green in the meantime has gone out. So these colors come and go. So you have to follow the color trends as well. So in a case like that, how would you try to see what are the colors available in the market? So you have to find some other way of sourcing these yarns or dyeing it or something so that your initial design concept doesn't change. So
Thank you, Mr. Priyantha. Yes, thank you so much. Actually, our topic is to empower the next generation of designers. So I hope those tips would be quite useful. So let's actually open the floor for some questions now. So we have 4 experts join here. So you can ask questions from any of the speakers. Join here, please.
You used to do that at the university too.
How do you tackle the animal rights people?
How do we?
Tackle the animal rights people. No, I think your business is good, it's flourishing, it's a unique thing to produce these things, all that is there. But there is a very strong movement called animal rights movement. How do you tackle it? Just a question.
Yes, she used to ask difficult questions since the university time. So how do we tackle this? By, like I said, we trace where the leather source is coming from. So the only problem is the skin we use. Luckily in Sri Lanka, not like in Europe, there are no protests against fur or stuff because we don't really wear leather. Because being a tropical country, it's only used for accessories. And with our economy, I think the luxury leather is a very, very niche market. So for us, mainly we use only cow leather, mostly cow leather, a little bit of sheep and goat leather. Like I said, becoming the maker of using byproducts of the industry, we managed to deviate from that part of the problem. So we never use crocodile leather, we never use fox leather, because there are certain leathers that has been banned in the fashion industry that we are not supposed to use. Luckily, we only produce very little bit of apparel, like jackets and stuff for bikers. And those are made out of mostly synthetic leather because thanks to the economy in Sri Lanka. So because they come and say they don't want it in genuine leather, and the other thing is they can't really wear it with the humidity and also with the moisture. They can't wear the natural leather when riding. So mostly we use synthetic leather in that case according to the requirement. So in terms of percentage, although I said about the vegan leather not being able to, vegan leather being a challenge, we do use vegan leather as well. So we keep the sustainability materials open and use only cow, keeping it to very limited types of leather in terms of animal rights. It's a very difficult part actually, it's a very difficult thing to do. Because like I said, cow sheep, goat are widely used in the whole world. So right now we don't have problem, but if by some case those animal right organizations protest against cow leather, sheep leather and stuff, then we will definitely go into an alteration.
I just asked that question because in certain European countries, bullfighting was a national sport and they had to stop that because of the Okay, thank you, Bajira.
Agree. Thank you, madam.
Hi. So I would actually like to raise this question from the founder of Lovisilon, Mr. Asanka. So I believe everyone in the audience would agree with me that we have seen your brand has expanded heavily over the last few years. So I would like to ask you to share any insights into how you have maintained the brand identity, and since your brand is a craft-based brand also, so how you have maintained the brand identity when upscaling your brand, and also how have you maintained the quality of your products when expanding?
Thank you for that question. Well, thank you for the kind words. 18 hours a day, 6.5 days a week. That's how, really, all of this is a lot of work. In fact, when actually we recently had a designer from join, and I said, please go become a lawyer or somebody else, because if you really want to have a life, don't come into Lovi and don't be in fashion. Because if you wanted to create something, that is what it takes. I don't want to sugarcoat it. If you're not working 18 hours, I am working 18 hours. So try to beat me, right? And because I'm creating value, I not only need to create value for you as my client, I need to create so much value, so there's tremendous amount of value going to the person who's stitching it, the person who's making the fabric, person who's doing the screen printing, all of this. And by being able to add so much value to each of them, we are able to bring quality products, because they all wanted to participate, because they are all actually benefiting. Their children are going to good schools, right? In fact, they are going to international schools. So by being able to create so much value in our products, the whole supply chain is actually fed. And I work, frankly, my family would say crazy hours, but that's how. And I'm not saying it's for everybody, but if you really want to do it, that's what it takes.
Thank you.
Okay, since our time is running a little late, so I would like to actually wrap up our session. So we discuss about many diverse topics, starting from how a traditional batik industry moved towards this contemporary fashion-driven batik sector, especially taking inspirations from Buddhiatics, and then Mr. Asanka, you discuss mostly about how you have developed this brand and what were the branding techniques that you have utilized in doing so, and you had to answer some of the tough questions from Dr. Nirmali even. It was about leatherware, it was about animal rights and sustainability, so thank you for the insights. And Mr. Asanka, it was mostly about this one-of-a-kind business model and social impact that you are making, as well as the community engagements. So thank you so much, our speakers, for joining today's first mini forum titled Creative Synergies Empowering the Young Generations of Designers. So I will hand over the session to our Kabiyodari.
Thank you, madam. And a big thank you to all our speakers today for their insightful discussions and their inspiring journeys. From celebrating culture and craftsmanship to promoting sustainability, you have shown us that Sri Lankan fashion is not just surviving. It is evolving, thriving, and marking its mark globally. On behalf of the organizers, I would now like to present our token of appreciation to our speakers. This token has been specially handcrafted by our semester 3 students, and it is a woven tapestry inspired by the rich artistry of temple murals. It reflects the very essence of today's forum, honoring tradition while nurturing the creativity of the next generation. I now invite Dr. Niromi Seram and Dr. Padmini Vithanage, senior lecturers of Department of Apparel and Textile Engineering, University of Moratuwa, to offer the token of appreciation to our speakers. Thank you, Madam. And now I invite Dr. Rivini Mathararachi, Senior Lecturer, Department of Textile and Apparel Engineering, University of Moratuwa, to offer the token of appreciation to our host of the day, Dr. Achini Ranavera. Thank you, Madam. And we have come to the end of our session today. Thank you very much for your participation. There will be another mini forum at 4:30 p.m. and we look forward for your participation. Enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you.